Welcome to this space where silence speaks louder than words, where the unseen finally finds its voice, and where each breath holds the potential to reveal truths long hidden. As you enter this journey, allow yourself to slow down, to feel time stretch and soften, as if the outer world gently fades so that the inner world can be heard. Perhaps in this very moment, a subtle echo is already calling your name, inviting you to listen beyond the noise. Before we go further, I offer you a simple yet powerful invitation. If these words stir something deep within your heart, consider liking and subscribing to this channel. Not only does this ensure that you'll receive more messages like this, it also allows this light to reach others who are quietly searching for the same signs. Every small gesture from you becomes part of a silent current of transformation, touching lives far beyond your own. Today, we will speak about messages, subtle signs that arrive as though sent by another you, a reflection walking through a different landscape of time, yet sharing the same essence. These messages never shout, never impose themselves. They arrive as quiet intuitions, uncanny coincidences, dreams that feel less like fantasy and more like forgotten memories. Gentle calls, softly urging you to awaken something you have always known, yet somehow set aside. Or perhaps you have felt something like this before, a déjà vu so vivid it feels like a hidden message, a sudden wave of peace in the middle of chaos, or a thought that appears from nowhere, yet answers what you didn't know you were asking. These are not random occurrences. They are fragments of deeper layers of your own consciousness reaching toward you, like letters written by a version of yourself living on the far side of the mirror. This is not about fantasy, but about the subtle language life uses to speak with you. When the mind becomes quiet, the heart begins to recognize what has always been present, clues that reality is far larger than what the eyes can see. These messages arrive in the spaces between one thought and another, between sleep and waking, between what you think you know and what you can only feel to be true. In the moments ahead, we will walk these paths together. We will learn to recognize them, to feel them, and most importantly, to understand them as bridges connecting you back to yourself. A self that already holds answers, wisdom, and quiet guidance. This is more than reflection. It is reunion. And perhaps by the end of this journey, you will realize you were never alone, only momentarily distracted from what has always been walking beside you. The first signs and the quantum logic of the unseen. Some signs arrive so delicately that they slip past unnoticed amid the chaos of everyday life. Yet when you pause, when you take a single conscious breath, you may sense a quiet order subtly guiding those events. Quantum mechanics suggests that all things vibrate, that every particle responds to observation. If the universe itself is sensitive to your attention, then every synchronicity can be seen as a silent conversation between you and the infinite field of possibilities surrounding you. Messages from your parallel self never follow linear logic. They manifest instead as vibrations, as frequencies you feel long before you understand. This is the same quantum foundation that links atom to atom, mind to mind, dimension to dimension. Such communication is not conveyed through words, but through resonance. A subtle attunement between you and another version of yourself, quietly guiding you toward a different path. Perhaps you have noticed repeating patterns, numbers appearing again and again, improbable encounters that seem orchestrated, or that unmistakable sensation of déjà vu, the feeling of having lived this moment before. These are more than coincidences. They are vibrational breadcrumbs. Quantum physics teaches that the observer influences what is observed, and through this very principle, your parallel self may send signals, for you both share the same vast field of consciousness. Quantum thought reveals that past, present, and future coexist in layered dimensions, like overlapping waves. If time is not linear, then part of you is already living choices that, from here, seem distant. When an echo arrives, it is as if the veil between these layers thins for just a moment. A whisper from the future, or perhaps from what has always been ready within you, quietly waiting to be remembered. Recognizing these signs requires replacing haste with presence. It is less about decoding symbols and more about feeling the vibration behind them. When something resonates within you without logical explanation, that is the moment to pause and notice. It might be a random phrase that stirs peace, a recurring dream, or an unexpected encounter that shifts your day. The message rarely arrives as a shout. It comes softly, like a passing breeze. Quantum mechanics reminds us that the universe is not fixed but fluid, constantly shaped by perception and intention. These signs are invitations to co-create with the unseen. When you honor what you feel, you begin to align your thoughts and vibrations with something larger than the immediate self. This is the beginning of a silent dance between worlds, a call to realize that within the infinite field of possibilities, your parallel self is already waiting for you. The unified field and the language of signs. To truly understand the messages from your parallel self, you must go beyond the analytical mind. The mind is always searching for logical explanations, yet quantum signals are felt long before they are understood. The unified field of consciousness reveals that everything, every thought, every atom, every emotion is deeply connected. When you notice a sign, it is never just an isolated event. It is the field itself responding to your vibrational state, mirroring your inner frequency back to you. Quantum physics shows us that particles can remain mysteriously connected across vast distances, a phenomenon known as entanglement. If atoms can communicate instantly regardless of space, why not consciousness itself? Your parallel self shares this same invisible web, and every vibration you emit has the potential to cross dimensions and reach you here and now. It is less about chasing signs, and far more about allowing them to find you. Interpreting these signs is like learning a new language, the language of feeling. There are no manuals, no exact translations. This is a form of communication that happens through resonance. You simply know because you feel. That silent knowing is what we call intuition. And it arises when you slow down, observe, and trust what emerges without forcing it. The answer does not come from outside. It rises gently from within your own body and awareness. Signs from your parallel self may appear as recurring dreams, repeating numbers, or even subtle shifts in the energy of a room. Yet the real key is not in what appears, but in how you feel when it does. If the sign brings peace, clarity, or expansion, it is evidence that the field is in alignment, a gentle reminder that you are moving in harmony with your deeper path. When the mind tries to interpret everything too quickly, it creates noise. It's like listening to a song and attempting to analyze every note rather than simply feeling the melody. Deepening your listening means allowing the field to speak in its own rhythm, without urgency. It is trusting that life reveals itself gradually, like pages of a book that can only be turned at the right moment, not before. When you open yourself to the unified field, you begin to perceive that every message is part of something larger. It's not just about guiding your next step. It is about reminding you that you have never been separate from the whole. Your parallel self is not distant. It pulses within you. Recognizing this truth marks the beginning of a greater journey, where living itself becomes synonymous with listening to silence and dancing with the unseen. Authentic echoes and the noise of the mind. Not every sudden feeling or thought is a true echo. The mind, shaped by memories and fears, often creates images meant to protect you or justify what it cannot fully comprehend. Authentic signals for your parallel self, however, carry a distinct signature. They bring calm, even when they challenge you. There is a quiet familiarity to them, as if something deep inside whispers, "Yes, this is real." That subtle recognition is the key to not getting lost between noise and truth. Quantum physics suggests that every observer influences the reality they perceive. This means that your mind, while interpreting signs, can distort them with expectations or fears. To recognize the genuine echo, you must quiet the urge to control and create space for feeling. Noise tends to shout, demanding immediate answers. The true echo arrives as a whisper, allowing you to breathe more deeply and rest into its presence. The noise of the mind often carries anxiety. It manifests as repetitive thoughts, urgency, and judgment. The authentic echo, on the other hand, approaches with neutrality, sometimes even with an inexplicable peace. It is like the difference between wind and breeze. Wind stirs everything into chaos, while the breeze caresses and calms. Learning this distinction is vital to trusting what you feel and not getting lost in excessive interpretation. Another indicator is its subtle persistence. A true echo never forces itself. It returns gently, often in unexpected moments. It may appear as a recurring dream, a phrase repeated in different conversations, or a number that surfaces precisely when you most need clarity. These signals do not pressure, they invite. Their vibration feels like companionship rather than urgency, a quiet hand reaching toward you across time. But to discern clearly, give yourself permission to pause before reacting. Breathe. Ask your body how it feels as you receive the sign. the body more than the mind recognizes vibrational truth. If you feel an expansion in the chest, if the breath deepens effortlessly, it is likely authentic. If you feel contraction or heaviness, it may simply be fear or the mind's rush to fabricate answers that are not yet ready. When you learn to distinguish noise from echo, life becomes simpler. Not because every mystery is solved, but because you begin to trust the quiet space behind each sign. That trust creates a receptive state, the same state in which quantum mechanics reveals infinite possibilities. In that conscious silence, your parallel self can reach you with far greater clarity, turning what once felt uncertain into guidance you can finally recognize. Responding to echoes and creating with awareness. Recognizing the echoes is only the beginning. True transformation unfolds when you choose to respond, not with haste or fear, but with presence and intention. These signs do not arrive as commands. They arrive as invitations. Invitations to realign your life with a deeper frequency, where your decisions are no longer automatic reactions, but conscious expressions of what you genuinely wish to create and embody. Responding to echoes does not mean trying to control what unfolds in other dimensions. It means allowing the wisdom of your parallel self to gently inspire your journey here and now. When you feel a calling, ask yourself, what is this awakening in me at this moment? Often the response will emerge not as exact information, but as a sense of peace, courage, or clarity, energies that must be nurtured and integrated into your next step. There are simple practices that can help you integrate these messages. Silence is one of the most powerful. Short meditations, deep breaths, journaling your raw feelings without judgment, all of these create space to listen more clearly. As the mind grows quiet, the echo becomes sharper, easier to recognize. Over time, you notice that these signs do not arrive from outside in, but rather from inside out, resonating from the very core of your being. Quantum physics reminds us that reality itself is shaped by observation. By giving attention to the signs, you strengthen the bridge with the unseen and begin to co-create consciously. The focus is not on forcing outcomes, but on aligning your vibration with the state you long to experience. When your feeling harmonizes with your intention, the field responds. It becomes a silent dance between you and the infinite. Responding to echoes also means taking action, even if the step feels small. A subtle message might nudge you to reach out to someone, change direction, or simply pause and breathe. Tiny actions send ripples that travel across dimensions. Each conscious choice is like casting a pebble into a still lake. The resulting waves travel farther than you could ever imagine, touching realities you cannot yet see. In time, you realize that responding to these signs is not an occasional act. It becomes a way of living. It is the art of walking awake, attuned to subtle messages that once went unnoticed. It is trusting that each echo carries a fragment of who you are becoming. And in this quiet dialogue, you begin to find yourself more whole, closer to your own center, and closer to the purpose that has always been guiding you. When echoes heal and expand consciousness, Sanchu, many echoes arrive during moments of pain. When the heart feels unbearably heavy and the mind desperately searches for meaning in what is unfolding, these signals often appear like a gentle breath of relief. It is as if a version of you, one who has already walked this very path in another line of time, leans close to whisper, "I know, and I have already found the peace you are seeking." This silent presence does not erase the pain, but it offers the profound certainty that even this wound can one day bloom into something greater. But the healing power of these echoes is not only in the comfort they bring. They illuminate wounds you may have hidden away, buried in the dark, waiting for the right moment to be acknowledged. By bringing memories to the surface, they reveal where love needs to be cultivated. It is a delicate process. Before moving forward, you must honor what was forgotten and allow every part of yourself, even the most fragile, to be received with compassion. But there is something profoundly liberating in realizing that you are never truly alone, not even within yourself. Layers of your own consciousness live across other dimensions, quietly rooting for your healing. These echoes are like embraces arriving from the future, reminders that in another part of you, peace has already been found. When you open to receive them, you begin to understand that even your deepest wounds hold seeds of transformation. Quantum physics shows us that everything is entangled. Past, present, and future coexist in an intricate web. This means that when you heal a memory here, that healing reverberates across all timelines. What once seemed fragmented slowly reveals itself as whole. Life, which once appeared chaotic, begins to unveil a silent pattern, a golden thread that has been guiding you all along, even when you felt most lost. This realization requires no external proof. It is felt in the body, in the relief that flows with a deep sigh, the gentle warmth in the chest, the tear that falls without warning. Healing happens when you stop running from the experience and allow yourself to feel it fully. Your parallel self does not judge your pain, it holds it. It knows that every wound carries a hidden message, a silent invitation to return home to yourself. Paragraphos says, Narrador. Over time, you begin to realize that it is not the outer world that changes first. It is you. The quiet inside reorganizes, and the world responds. Each echo that arrives becomes a reminder that life is far greater than pain, greater than the story you once believed. It marks the beginning of a new phase, lighter, clearer, more whole. And every step from this moment forward is guided by that invisible thread connecting all versions of who you truly are. Using echoes as guides to create your reality. When you begin to truly listen to echoes with care and attention, something profound shifts in the way you make choices. Your decisions stop being automatic responses driven by fear or impulse, and begin to reflect a deeper alignment with your inner truth. It is as though life suddenly reveals an invisible map, not one made of rigid rules, but of subtle signals pointing toward the most harmonious path. It is here, in this awareness, that conscious co-creation truly begins. To co-create is not to force the universe to obey your desires. It is to attune your vibration to the experience you wish to live. The echoes from your parallel self reveal possibilities that already exist, and it is up to you to choose which frequency you will harmonize with. Quantum physics teaches that reality responds to the observer. When you observe with presence and clarity, life itself begins to reorganize around you in subtle yet undeniable ways. The first step to using echoes as guidance is to cultivate silence. It is in the space between one thought and another that intuition has room to bloom. You do not need elaborate rituals. You simply need to pause, observe, and listen. Even amid the chaos of daily life, there are pockets of stillness waiting to open whenever you breathe with intention. In that quiet, the entire field of possibilities quietly reveals itself. The second step is to trust the small confirmations that arise. You may ask for clarity and, unexpectedly, a phrase in a book or a song on the radio offers the precise answer you needed. This is not coincidence. It is resonance. The universe speaks in symbols, and your parallel self knows how to use them to guide you. The key is to stop dismissing the improbable and start welcoming the unexpected as part of the message life is sending. The third step is action. Recognizing the sign is essential, but without movement, transformation cannot occur. When you feel a quiet call, take even the smallest step toward what resonates with you. Each conscious gesture sends ripples into the quantum field, linking you to versions of yourself already living the reality you seek. The universe answers in harmony with your response. Over time, you begin to understand that creating your reality is not about fighting what exists. It is about flowing with what already vibrates within you. The echoes are not promises of a distant future. They are reminders that what you long for already exists somewhere in your being. Co-creation begins the moment you breathe deeply, align yourself, and allow the unseen to emerge quietly, transforming your present moment into living truth. Echoes as bridges to greater purpose. There comes a moment when you realize these echoes are not merely about immediate choices. They begin revealing something far greater, an invisible thread weaving together every experience you've ever had into a wider purpose. It feels as if, by listening to these whispers, you are remembering a silent mission that has always lived within your heart. A mission that does not require logical explanation to be real, because it already vibrates within your soul, quietly calling you forward. When you perceive this thread, life stops appearing random or disconnected. Each encounter, each loss, each sudden joy begins to take on deeper meaning. The echoes of your parallel self become gentle reminders that you belong to something larger than any personal story. It is as if existence itself is softly whispering, "Your place is unique and irreplaceable within this vast tapestry." Quantum physics suggests that all of reality is interlinked within a unified field. This means your life is never isolated. It resonates with other lives, other versions of you, and even with the greater consciousness of the universe itself. When you choose to heal, that healing reverberates into dimensions you cannot see. When you choose to love, waves of that love ripple across time and space, quietly touching the unseen. Understanding this changes everything. Purpose is no longer something distant to be discovered in the future. It is lived in the present, in every conscious breath, in every small act of attention. Purpose is not found in a destination. It is woven into the way you walk. Each echo you hear is a reminder of this silent pact between you and the greater whole, guiding you even when you do not realize it. The echoes also reveal that you have never been separated from the divine. Every sign, every synchronicity, every unexplainable sensation is the infinite softly saying, "Continue. You are on the right path." Even in moments of doubt, the universe sends silent notes, like scattered lights left behind to guide you home whenever you lose your way. When you open yourself to this greater purpose, a new kind of peace is born within you. It is a peace that does not depend on immediate answers, but on trust. Trust that everything is already connected, that every version of you is both sustained by and sustaining something far larger. In that silence, the extraordinary ceases to be distant and begins to live within the present moment, in the simple miracle of being alive. Strengthening the connection with echoes in daily life. Strengthening this connection does not require elaborate rituals or rare, extraordinary moments. It is built within simplicity. In the pause where you take a deep breath before reacting. In the moment, you notice something ordinary and sense there is more hidden beneath it. Everyday life is full of silent portals, waiting for you to slow down enough to perceive them and allow messages to pass gently through the veil, quietly reshaping your awareness. One of the most powerful steps is cultivating silence. This does not always mean formal meditation. Sometimes it is simply turning off the surrounding noise, closing your eyes for a few minutes and feeling your own body. Silence is a fertile ground where intuition blossoms. It is there, in that quiet space, that signs become clear, like stars that only appear when the night is finally dark enough to reveal their hidden brilliance. Gratitude is another key that strengthens this bridge. Thanking the small confirmations, a repeating number, an unexpected song, a sudden wave of peace, heightens your sensitivity to new echoes. The more you give thanks, the more signs appear. Not because they weren't there before, but because you've trained your eyes and heart to recognize the invisible threads connecting you to something greater than yourself. Recording these signs is also a transformative practice. Writing down dreams, intuitions, or coincidences creates a living map of your inner communication. Over time, patterns begin to emerge, messages become clearer, forming connections you may have overlooked. It is like assembling a mosaic, where each isolated piece only reveals its beauty when seen as part of the larger picture your parallel self is helping you uncover. Acting upon these signs is the step that solidifies the connection. Following an intuition, even a small one, sends a message to the universe. I am listening. And the universe responds in kind, offering even more clarity. It becomes a silent dialogue strengthened by each conscious gesture. Over time, Living in tune with echoes stops being an occasional practice and becomes a natural way of being, an effortless state of quiet receptivity. When you weave this presence into your everyday life, the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary. Signs begin appearing in subtle details, in the corner of a smile, in the breeze brushing against your face, in the sudden hush of a morning that feels different. It is here that you realize there was never separation, only forgetfulness. And as memory returns, this connection with the greater whole begins to guide every breath, every choice, every step you take. Bloco 10. The silence after the echo. A new way of seeing life, 63 to 70 minutes. Warm, integrative tone. We have reached the end of this journey. Yet perhaps you already sense that endings are nothing more than new doors opening. What began as curiosity about parallel signs has quietly unfolded into a reunion with something that has always lived inside you. Now perhaps the world feels different, quieter, more alive, more deeply connected. As if every breath has become a gentle reminder that the infinite was never far away. It has always been here, patiently waiting for you to notice. But the echoes you recognized along this path do not end here. They will continue to appear in dreams, in synchronistic events, in sudden intuitive nudges. And each time they emerge, remember, it is you speaking to yourself in another form, across another moment in time. This realization is profoundly liberating, for it dissolves the illusion of separation. You were never walking alone. You simply had not noticed the quiet company beside you. Perhaps now you feel called to keep nurturing this deeper listening, to pause more often throughout your day, to notice what once passed by unnoticed. When you learn to listen, even the wind becomes a messenger. Every detail of life carries a loving message from the infinite, as if the extraordinary has always been hidden inside the ordinary, patiently waiting for the perfect moment to reveal itself to you. If these words have touched something within you, share them. There are other hearts quietly searching for signs, and perhaps you are the echo they need to hear today. By liking and subscribing, you not only continue receiving messages like this, you help spread them, creating an unseen current that carries light and meaning far beyond what our eyes can perceive. But the journey does not end when the video closes. It continues in every gesture, every choice, every pause you allow yourself to live. When you feel doubt, return to this space. When you feel rushed, give yourself permission to stop. And when you feel alone, remember, there are versions of you cheering for you across dimensions, whispering courage, and holding the invisible thread that gently guides you back to your center. Carry this truth with you. The echo does not come from far away. It rises from your own heart. It crosses dimensions only to remind you of what has always been true. You are already part of the whole, already complete, already deeply loved. And from that quiet knowing, you can walk forward with greater lightness, listening step by step to the soft call of yourself that lives beyond the veil. And so, see you in the next video, with more information on everything that involves growing, evolving, transforming, and manifesting. See you soon.